Hi guys, welcome back to the Chaos Club. This will be episode 7 of my boosted LS powered 4x4 Hilux. This episode I go over the cold side, I fit a ratchet shifter, mount some gauges, plumb up the heater, and a heap of other cool little jobs. So stay tuned and we'll get into it. So now I'm up to the cold side. Originally what I was thinking was I'd buy a radiator off eBay, which I thought was going to be shorter. I'd buy top and bottom tank intercooler. I was planning to cut those two tanks off, put one central outlet in the middle. That's the only one I could find. It was a cheaper one. It was a couple $100. It was going to sort of fit my application. Smack it in there. Just going to go pipe over the top of my nice short radiator. Straight onto the throttle body. Laughing. Only thing was, I rushed. Bought the radiator, didn't really check the measurements. It's too tall. Rushed, bought the intercooler. It's actually 90mm thick. The distance from the radiator support panel to the front of the grille is 90mm pretty much. So what I did have was the leftover 75mm Aeroflow cooler from my Commodore. So that's in there, that radiator's in there. And now if you can see, there is bugger all room to get anything in there. It's about 85mm from the throttle body to the radiator. So plan is going to run cold side out, comes down through there, and come out of there straight onto there. Cut that tank off, flip it over, weld it back on the other way around. Then I've got 2.5 inch pipe, which I'm going to section and cut that lengthways the whole way. That just fits in between everything there. So I'm going to make that go from 3-inch round at this end, 2.5 inch thick, but same sort of volume as at least 3-inch, and then taper up and somehow go 90 degrees onto whatever that measurement is, nearly 4-inch. So that is the plan. So I'm not quite sure how I'm going to do it. Just going to start cutting and welding and see what happens. Making a start on this pipe. Cut down, that's my 3-inch donut. Cut that for it. So I'm going to put that there, and then probably make up a reducer, conical reducer thing to go from that to the throttle body. Cut that down a bit and weld it on there. So just mark this, and outer circles out on a bit of card. Roll that around into a cone like that. That's going to be my reducer. I think the lengths are pretty good. I'll just transfer that onto a sheet of aluminium, cut it out, roll it in something, or run it through my bender a million times, weld it up, and that should do. So I just welded a short tail under my tight radius elbow out of the donut. Welded on my conical reducer that I've made. It's all out of whack and out of round at the minute, so I'll got to trim the throttle body back a bit, grind that down until it all matches up, panel beat it into shape, and then weld that onto there. Alright, so I've just finished welding up my elbow and my short and throttle body. Hopefully it still works. Just give it a quick polish sort of thing to clean it up. The welds are not spectacular, but it's only about the fourth thing out of aluminium I've ever welded, so hopefully it works. Cleaned it up inside there, it looks pretty good. Just noticed the screws for the butterfly come through from the other side. Should be fun getting them in, even once you turn it. Joy. That'll do. Now the throttle body's done, I'm going to start the rest of my charge pipe. Just bought a 2.5 inch long radius bend. Cut that down. Just going to belt the Jesus out of it and over a bit of pipe with the hammer until it blends up with the 3-inch pipe, and then put a section in the middle. Got to do that at both ends. Weld a bit through the middle just to make it oval, and that'll put a bead on that bit again so the hose doesn't blow off, and hopefully that'll fit. It's still going to be very tight though. I've got my 2 pieces tacked to a bit of 3-inch. By subtracting the circumference of the 2.5 from the 3-inch, tells me I need 2 pieces at 18.5 mil through there to make that oval the same volume as the 3-inch. Slightly out of whack, tiny little bit under. I don't think I'm going to care. Hopefully it's still going to work. It's not optimum, any of it. If it's that tight, I haven't got a lot of choice. I just don't have the room. So after thinking about the volume not being the same for about 30 seconds, my OCD got the better of me. So I cut it apart, welded those 2 in that are both 18.5 millimeters. Probably could have just squashed some 3-inch alloy, maybe. I don't know. Whatever. I'll try and make that round and 3-inch again, weld another bit on there. Same on the other end. I must be getting a little bit better at welding this time. Before I went over to the grinder and it wasn't even still spinning when I went to sharpen my tungsten. Winning. So that's my charge pipe all finished. Just got all that final welded up. Got a machined up a bung for the inlet air temperature sensor. Sort of ground it out as much as I could inside. It's not amazing, but it's about the 5th or 6th thing I've made out of aluminium ever, so if I didn't have Instagram and things, I'd probably be happy with it, but it'll work. Yep, give it a quick polish while it's nice and warm over here because it's freezing everywhere else. So on to the next. So this is it with all the cold side installed. Obviously it comes out of the turbo straight down there. Yep, through underneath, pretty tight. Let's up around that way. It's got that aeroflow cooler on it still. Tight 90 out of that. And I've got my super tight pipe back in between. Millimeters to spare. And then transitions around back onto the throttle body. So that's it. There's no room to spare whatsoever. Can be done, doesn't mean it should, but it has been. So we'll see how it goes. I'm committed now. It'll work. I'm just in the process of trying to work out a position for my B&M shifter. I should get a 4-speed one of them. Got my transfer case shifter all mounted up. So low 4s all the way forwards there. So it doesn't leave me much room for the shifter, but that's in park now, all the way forwards. It's going to be on a bit of an angle, but I think I'm going to make up. I might fold up an aluminium base plate and attach it back down to the tunnel with a heap of nutserts, and then fix that to it and try and paint it all grey and make it blend in a little bit. Yeah, that should do the job. I'll still be able to shift where I need to, sort of thing, and then I've got a bit of clearance down to that. So yeah, see how that goes. So So I've just made up a mount for the floor to mount the shifter to. That just bolts to the floor on a plate inside. The cover will go on that. Fits up under the dash pretty well, so it should all blend in. I'm going to give it a quick coat of satin black so it doesn't stand out too much. Not sure about the chrome yet, but I'll get to that. Just got to set the cable and that up for this, and then pretty much it can move under its own steam. I've still got to wire up the thermofan and mount it a little bit, just waiting for a couple of things on that. Power steering pump's on its way. So hopefully by the time you're seeing this, I've got all that and sorted it. I've got my shifter floor plate mounted up. It's pretty firm in there. Just got to put the shifter on there next. Another thing I've been working on is the handbrake cable. See up in there, it's a bit hard to see, but they've got a pulley on the back of them. It's normally inside the engine bay. So cut that off. Definitely not the first person to do this. They've been doing it for years with engine conversions. Cut that off, shortened it. Got to shorten the handbrake rod. I've done that, put a new cable in it. I've just got to make a little brace from the one of those bolts on the end up to the firewall, just to stop it wobbling around. So the cable now runs down on the inside and out through a hole in the floor there. Just got some wiring in here I've got to finish tidying up. Got the tacho signal and things to sort out. OBD2 plug to mount. So I'll do that shortly. Rightio, so I've got my shifter all mounted up. Everything seems to be selecting gears and all that the way it's meant to. It's all in there pretty solid. Can still get the transfer case. Not by a lot, but only just. So we'll just see if we can get some wheels spinning. Still got a few belt noises and things going on. So I'm in high 2. That should be drive. I can feel something happening already. Let's drive. Try reverse. Reverse. That's all good. Park. Try for high 4. Drive. We're on. There we go. Still happening. Belt's still squealing like crazy because I've got to try and fix my tensioner. It's not quite straight. Anyway, that's good. That's a win. Alright, I'll give you the walkthrough of what goes on. The cooler and that in the front all tucked in there pretty well. It's pretty much the only bit of cooler piping that you can see is just between the handsome looking bumper bar there and the headlight, so that's not too bad. So yeah, then we've got cold side piping, comes through the guard there, back around and up, the manifolds, the wastegate's just dumping out there at the minute. See all the manifolds and that up through there, V-banded, dump pipe there coming down, another V-band on the dump there, and it's just straight inch, 3.5 mild steel tube, which I picked up for nothing, rescued it from going in the scrap bin. So that was a bargain. Crossover you can see, just got to finish doing the thermofan yet, which you can see hanging out the bottom, but it's just a 12-inch spell, low profile thermofan, which it's a bit hard to see, but pretty much clears my balancer by 3mm, I guess, something like that. So it's a bit too close to the dump pipe at the minute, so I'm going to change the change that thermostat housing that I modified. You can kind of see that up in there. I'm just going to put a swivel one on it now, lash out and buy one of them. That'll get me another sort of 1.5 inch clearance over here. Yeah, training cooler lines. And then obviously it just comes back. It's pretty tight on the ratchet shifter cable, but just knock some clearance into it there. Got a wide band in there, sort of up out of the way. Another bung for when it's on the dyno. Back over this side, I've got a fuel pressure sender unit there for electronic gauge inside. Got that cross member that I modified. Just pretty much added that piece there on the back of it. Standard turbo 700 mount. Yeah, 2 3.5 inch straight through truck mufflers. Well, I guess you call them truck mufflers, they're just universal mufflers. And then up all the way out over the diff. Gonna give that a coat of just satin black or whatever, try and blend it all in. What else? Just put the tail shaft loop in. I had one laying around on the shelf that I was meant to have put in the Commodore. Haven't got to that yet, so just put that in for a bit of added safety. It seems that all these parts are going to be under a lot of strain, especially if I snag her in fall low or whatever. That's the other side of that fuel box. I've just got glands and things to go through there that all the wires and pipes and all that run through that seal them all up, electrical glands. It's all still pretty sad looking back here, but it's getting there. I just put a new handbrake cable on it the other day because all that was all seized and needed replacing. It's all in a bad way. All these brake lines, I've got new tube and that there to put on them, make up some new ones, but they're all looking pretty sad when I was just testing the gears before it wasn't even stopping the back wheels, so that's a bit of a concern. But I'll sort that out before the first drive and dump her out the back. So yeah, it's pretty straight run most of the way through there. I haven't got a spare wheel or anything underneath the back, so I wasn't too concerned about any of that. It's not my biggest issue at the minute. Yeah, that's about it. Just got to put a cover back on the over the flex plate, and yeah, and then I guess we'll see how long all these spindly little axles and things hold up to a boosted LS. Time will tell. Everybody's money's on not very long, but anyway, we'll see what happens. I guess it fair bit depends on what I do with my right foot. But yeah, that's driver's side V-band up through there. Still got a couple more bolts to whack in the mounts. Should have painted them, but everything's all come together a bit quicker than I was anticipating, so that's good. So that is it. For anyone that hasn't been watching, I'll give you a bit of a rundown of what this thing is. So it was a 2.8 litre diesel LN106 97 model Toyota Hilux, solid axle front. She was pretty rough. I think I paid $3,000 or $3,200 for it. Sold the engine and that for $1,500, so it owed me virtually nothing. Had a heap of parts left over from previous builds, so I'll give you a rundown on them. Got a 5.7 alloy block motor in there. I bought the motor all disassembled, had some good bits with it, sort of thing. It was $500 or something I paid for that. A bit of machining and that done by my good friend Steve at Lundstrom's Engineering. He always looks after me. He's helped me out with a heap of different parts, always, machining and a lot of good knowledge, so you can help anyone out there. Just got an eBay GT42 that was on my last engine. That was laying on the shelf, so I thought I might as well use that up. It's got 6 litre rods in this one, 706 heads they are. They came on the 5.3 that ended up in low blow. So cast stainless LSA manifolds, single turbo. It's got just ARP head bolts in it. Put a pretty big Crow cam in this one, GM lifters, and that's pretty much it. It's got a turbo 700 auto behind it and an adapter, a Marks adapter onto a Hilux transfer case. I picked that up off a mate. He owed me for doing some work at his place, so that was a good trade. And that was pretty much the beginning of this. And fuel systems in this box back here, it'll get just a lid on it eventually, but Peerberg lift pump, 2 supposedly genuine 044 pumps, boost reference in here for a pressure switch, regulator, all that stuff. So standard diffs. It's got a one-piece tail shaft in the back. I'm not sure what that's out of. Still got stock leaf springs, stock suspension, cheapo crappy shockers and things that came in it. But first things first, I've got to start somewhere. So I just got her all going, and I'm going to move on from there. But for now, all I've got to do is finish the thermo fan, power steering pump, and a couple more wiring jobs inside. I'm just going to mount a few things up in there with lights and whatnot, gauges, and then she's ready to rip. Try and tune her up and see what happens. Hanging for it. Rightio, so I've got my charge pipe all tacked up. Thought it was going to be a bastard, and it was. This is as much as I'm going to do tonight, mainly because I'm out of gas, but it's also very late. People seem to think I don't have a day job to do all these things, but just put in the hours and you get the results. It's coming up not too bad. Don't crucify me too much, this is me practicing. I'd rather practice on something interesting than in a TAFE classroom, but that's just me. I've been hearing some bit of chatter getting around the internet from this Billy Bob fella. He helps out the whole garage guys with their car builds that they're doing at the moment. Apparently he's got a Hilux that he seems to think's pretty fast as well. Been making all sorts of wild claims about how quick it is and winning this and that. But anyway, I reckon I'll probably have him. So if anyone knows him, tell him he's been called out. Maybe next time Heathcote or something's on, Russell might be able to tee us up a bit of a drag or a tug of war or something on the dirt. I'd be all for it. So Billy Bob, let's see what you got. But anyway, as I said, it's late. I'm tired. I'll see you on the next one.